We had Adam Boyes, the co-CEO of Iron Galaxy, on the studio a few months ago, and it was actually right in the wake. And for those unfamiliar, please go listen to that episode. But Adam is a former PlayStation executive. He was there for a long time. He helped launch the PlayStation 4, and then decided to kind of go out on his own. And then they built, a battle royale wrestling game, a Rumbleverse, now that is doing pretty well for itself. And when we had him on, we talked a little bit about it was shortly thereafter the Jim Ryan email talking about labor issues and sort of inside the games industry. Your former employer, Activision Blizzard, has had a lot of that the past couple of years. Last summer, for those unfamiliar, they received a lawsuit from the California Civil Rights Division alleging rampant sexual harassment across the company. And it's been this incredible, just mudslinging 18 months of reporting that, senior level executives like Bobby Kotick were aware of some of this and allegedly withheld that information from its board. The SEC is investigating for this. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is settled a lawsuit. The California CRD are still in a lawsuit that's ongoing. And then through all of this, Microsoft is trying to acquire Activision Blizzard to, and presumably fix some of this. They've already talked about that. Phil Spencer has. I want to ask kind of two questions on this. One, sort of your broader thoughts on what's happening there. And then two, I want to ask you a question afterwards, after you answer, about sort of how, looking at everything that's happening there, how that impacts the way you're building a culture moving forward. So yeah, first, what are your broader thoughts on what's happening at Activision Blizzard now?
I guess I'll say that I think broadly, these movements where traditionally people, like the power dynamics, have made it very hard for people who have been harassed, made it very difficult for them to be believed or to speak up. These movements grant power to people who've traditionally not had it. And when they realize that there's actually a bunch of them and they can get in support from like a huge group of other people through things like social media, it flips the power dynamics and gives the power back to, these people who have traditionally not had it, and to great results, right? Like, this is, it's not just the games industry, it's many industries now that have, cleaned house and done a lot of soul searching about how they've been operating and what kinds of behaviors they've been tolerating. And so it's very encouraging to me to see it happened to the games industry, and to kind of free the voices of these people who felt, silenced and unable to find justice or to speak about what's been happening to them in every industry, but it's obviously hits very close to home in the games industry. So as somebody who's building a studio, there's a couple things that I think this was always important, but these things highlight how important this stuff is. One is, as a person in a leadership position, I need to build a studio where people feel comfortable coming and talking to, ideally anybody, but me, I can personally make them feel more comfortable coming to me to say, hey, look, there was stuff that I feel like could have gone better. And if that's true, then we could do stuff to make stuff better. But even if it's not me, somebody with the power to make stuff better should be able to find out about that. And so if we have a culture where people feel safe to bring up issues, then I think that helps a lot. That really, gives us more opportunities to avoid scenarios where people don't feel like they have, an outlet to express when things have gone badly or things need to be doing better. The way we craft our policies to reduce opportunities for stuff to go badly, right? The way we build our culture to, what matters to us. And then also the way we build our studio, right? We focus, I think it's in a studio that's traditionally been so dominated by straight white dudes. We're coming from a losing position on being like a really diverse industry. But I think, as a studio who this matters a lot to us, we think diverse perspectives really help us make better games. It's something that we spend like a really lot of time trying to figure out how to make better hiring practices or get encourage new groups of people who are traditionally not from those groups to become game developers and join our company. Those are really important to as far as trying to make the industry better in these ways.
Yeah, I think a lot of startups, I think about this a lot now as a startup founder and building kind of our early team and our culture is it's so easy to get caught up kind of in how quickly everything moves and what's the next KPI, what's the next thing we've got to tackle, especially when you're kind of a smaller team and you don't have the resources of a AAA game developer to at your disposal to outsource or whatever else. It's so easy to like get caught up that you don't take that time to kind of step back and think more broadly. What else is happening around us? How are people feeling here, right? Like, and so like even if you don't intentionally mean to not lead empathetically, it just like kind of crosses your mind and escapes you, even if it's not in malice. Are you all doing things that as a new studio to sort of have that time to reflect on what you're doing, to have those open conversations amongst each other about what whether it's the lowest or entry level employee all the way up to the leadership like you, having those broader conversations of what you want second dinner to be and how things work?
Yeah, one of the things I really value about like people in general, but we're really lucky to have a bunch of people like this at Second Dinner is that I think it's great when people feel like they can speak truth to power and say, hey, look, this thing didn't go the way I thought it should go. I think we missed an opportunity here to, get an even broader pool of candidates that maybe would have allowed us to, maybe the best person would have been, somebody who's just, a little bit different background than everybody else. And I think those things, we just have a bunch of people like that. And I think we have a culture where people do on the whole feel comfortable talking about that kind of stuff. But also we do stuff like, hey, look, let's make our hiring practices just like the best. And so let's, anybody who wants to raise their hand and be part of a strike team to review all our hiring practices and make recommendations on how to improve them so that we can, just be, just like industry leading in these ways, like everybody's welcome. And so we have a bunch of people from, all over the company, from every discipline and from every seniority level who care a lot about it, right? It's very interesting. When you're in a really small studio, like you can much more easily feel a lot of ownership over, not just the things that you're directly doing, but like we're not trying to just build a game here. We're trying to build a studio, right? We're 4.5 years old. We're pretty new. And throughout this whole experience, what are good policies, right? Like what should our, how should we handle, all these things that companies have to figure out how they run themselves. And it's, we're very lucky to have a studio that's very bought in on being a great place to work.
Sure. I appreciate the candor in that answer as well. Thanks for watching Visionaries on YouTube. For more content, please subscribe to the Overcome channel.